We will be talking about threads lifecycle, and we will be seeing what are the different states a thread can have. Okay, so if you know that thread has been always a hot topic, or always has been an important topic from the interview point of view. So let's just try to understand what are the different states a thread can have. Okay, so the first one is the new one. Whenever we create any thread, okay, at that point of time the state of the thread is new. If you see this code, thread t1 equal to new thread, and if I'm trying to access the state of the thread at this point of time, we will get to see that the state is new. Now, the second state is the runnable one. As soon as we start the thread post creation, the thread reaches to the runnable state, which means that thread is waiting for some resources, some system resources or CPU allocation, okay, but it is ready to run. As soon as CPU is allocated, my thread will start executing, okay. But it may happen that after putting t1.start, if you try to access the state of your thread, you might not see the state runnable, because in between, if the thread scheduler allocates CPU to your thread, and if your thread gets executed successfully or executed its task successfully, in that case your thread state might change. Moving to the third state, which is the blocked one, which says that a particular thread enters in this state when it is waiting for the monitor lock and trying to access a section of code which is locked by some other code. So let's understand via this scenario. Consider we have two threads t1 and t2, okay, and let's understand that if this is the method, which is basically a synchronized one. So at one point of time, only one thread can access it, right? So let's say T1 has acquired lock on this method, and let's assume that for some point of time, T1 is not going to release a lock over this method. So for that specific period of time, T2 will go into the block state. If we try to access the state of the T2 at that point of time, we will see it as a block. Moving to the next state, which is the waiting. So a thread can go into the waiting state by post calling these three methods. So when we say that a thread is in the waiting state, which means that it is waiting for the other threads to complete its task. Okay. So as soon as the other thread will complete its task, then this thread will start re-executing. The first thread will start re-executing. Okay. So we will go through each and every state. We will be seeing examples or the code for each and every states. But here we are just seeing the definitions, and we'll try to understand that what a particular state means, right? Fourth one. So next one is the time waiting, which is the fifth state. Okay. A thread is in a time waiting state when it's waiting for the another thread to perform a particular action within a stipulated amount of time. So it is very much similar with the waiting state, but the difference is that in the time waiting, the thread is waiting for a specified period of time for the other threads to complete its task. And in the waiting state, thread is not waiting for a specified period of time. It is waiting until and unless the another threads complete its task. Okay. So this is the basic difference between these two states, the waiting and the time waiting. Last one is the terminated one. So as soon as any thread completed its task, or we can say in Java, if we write the implementation for the run method, right? So basically thread execute the code present inside the run method. So as soon as it is done with the complete execution of that run method, then the thread will be terminated and it will reaches to the terminated state. Let's try to understand the same thing via a diagram, via a beautiful diagram. So which says that first thread is in the new state as soon as we create it. Once we start the thread, it reaches to runnable. Once the CPU is allocated to the thread, which means that thread starts running and it reaches to the running state. From here, by calling sleep method, thread can go into the time waiting state, or by calling join or wait methods, thread can go into the waiting state. And here we have one more state called blocked state, which we have discussed that if the thread is not able to acquire lock on some specific piece of code which is currently being locked by some other thread, in that case thread will go into the blocked state. And the last one is the terminated state, like if you call stop for a particular stop method on a particular thread, or if your thread has successfully completed its task, it will reach to the terminated state. So